Title: The Silent Alarm. The final bell of the day rang, and students flooded out of classrooms, eager to escape the monotony of another school day. Jenny, a quiet sophomore, lingered in the hallway, shoving her books into her backpack. She had planned to meet her friends in the library for a study session, but a strange unease settled in her stomach. As she walked towards the library, the intercom crackled to life. "Attention, all students and staff. This is a lockdown. Repeat, this is a lockdown. Please proceed to the nearest classroom and lock the doors. This is not a drill." Panic rippled through the hallway. Jenny's heart pounded as she darted into the nearest classroom, her English room, where Mrs. Thompson was ushering in the last of the stragglers. Mrs. Thompson quickly locked the door and turned off the lights, motioning for everyone to stay quiet and sit against the wall. The room was enveloped in an eerie silence, broken only by the muffled sounds of hurried footsteps and whispered prayers. Jenny's unease grew stronger, her mind racing with worst-case scenarios. Her thoughts were interrupted by a faint noise, like a distant echo of someone crying for help. "Did you hear that?" whispered Tommy, the class clown, now pale and visibly shaken. "Shh," Mrs. Thompson warned, but Jenny nodded, confirming she had heard it too. Minutes felt like hours. The cries grew louder, more desperate. It was clear someone was in trouble, and they were getting closer. The sound was coming from the direction of the library. Jenny's stomach churned as she remembered her friends. "I have to go," she whispered to Mrs. Thompson, who shook her head vehemently. "No, Jenny, it's too dangerous." Ignoring the warning, Jenny quietly crept to the back door that led to the hallway, slowly turning the handle. The hallway was dim, shadows casting ominous shapes on the walls. The cries for help echoed louder now, leading her to the library. She slipped inside, heart hammering in her chest. The library was deserted, the shelves casting long, eerie shadows. Then she saw her friends huddled in a corner, wide-eyed with fear. "Jenny," they whispered in unison. "What's happening?" "I don't know," Jenny replied, trying to stay calm. "But we need to stay hidden and quiet." Suddenly, the library door creaked open. A tall figure stood silhouetted against the hallway light. It was the janitor, Mr. Carlson, but something about him seemed off. His eyes were glazed, and his movements were slow and deliberate. "Is everyone okay?" he asked, his voice flat and emotionless. Jenny felt a chill run down her spine. Something was very wrong. She motioned for her friends to stay quiet as Mr. Carlson walked towards them, his footsteps echoing ominously. He seemed to be searching for something or someone. "Stay here," Jenny mouthed to her friends before slipping behind a bookshelf. She had to find out what was going on. As she moved deeper into the library, she noticed a faint glow coming from the librarian's office. Curiosity overpowered her fear as she approached the office and peeked inside. There, on the desk, was an old book with strange symbols on its cover, glowing faintly in the dark. Next to it was a walkie-talkie crackling with static. "Mr. Carlson, are you there?" a voice from the walkie-talkie asked. "Status update." Jenny's blood ran cold as she realized the voice belonged to the principal, Mr. Harris. She grabbed the walkie-talkie and pressed the button, trying to keep her voice steady. "Mr. Carlson is here in the library," she said. "What is going on?" There was a long pause before Mr. Harris replied, "Jenny, listen carefully. You need to get out of there, now." Before she could respond, the door behind her creaked open. Mr. Carlson stood there, his eyes now glowing the same eerie light as the book. He reached out for her, but Jenny dodged and ran, grabbing the book on her way out. Her friends were waiting by the entrance, fear etched on their faces. "We need to go," he whispered urgently. "Now!" They bolted out of the library, but the hallways seemed to stretch endlessly. The cries for help returned, louder and more frantic. It felt like the entire school was alive, twisting and turning to trap them inside. Finally, they burst into the gymnasium, the only place left to hide. They barricaded the doors and collapsed onto the floor, panting and terrified. "What is that book?" one of her friends asked, pointing to the strange tome in Jenny's hands. "I don't know, but it has something to do with this," Jenny replied, flipping through the pages. The symbols made no sense, but she felt a strange pull, as if the book was trying to communicate with her. Suddenly, the gym doors shook violently. Mr. Carlson was trying to break in. The lights flickered, and a low, guttural growl echoed through the room. "Jen,"